Hi everyone and welcome. Today we're gonna do a quick comparison between a Roth IRA and an IUL. So we all know that Roth IRAs as well as IUL, they're tax-free retirement vehicles. So they have that going on for both of them. But now let's compare the difference between them so you understand a little bit better what's better for you. So in this comparison, we are going to use 5 different criteria so you can decide what's better for you. So again, we're going to be comparing a Roth IRA to an IUL, which is also known as the rich people's Roth. So what are those 5 different criteria? We are going to look at contribution limits for both of them. We're going to look at income limitations, liquidity, protection, and expenses. Okay, contribution limits. So we know that with a Roth IRA, there are contribution limits. You can only contribute on an yearly basis $6,000 if you're younger than 50. If you're older than 50, you can access the catch-up contributions that will put you at $7,000 per year. So within an IUL, there are no contribution limits other than what's determined by the amount of death benefit that you have. So the more death benefit, the more contributions that you can have. There's certain rules that the IRA establish for this growth within the IUL to be tax-free. So for as long as you have a good and healthy death benefit, you have no limit contributions. So in this case, if we're looking at contribution limits, the IUL has the upper hand. Okay, number 2, what about income limitations? So do you think Bill Gates can contribute, or does he have a Roth IRA? Well, he doesn't. And the reason is he makes too much money. So within a Roth IRA, if you are making north of $140,000 a year, single, or if you're making over $214,000 as a married couple, you just cannot participate in the contributions of this tax-free retirement tool. So it's just not possible. You're making too much money. Now, if we compare that to an IUL, it doesn't matter. None of these rules will apply. That's why it's called the rich man's Roth. Again, the upper hand will go to the IUL when it comes to income limits. So number 3, what about liquidity? So within a Roth IRA, there are certain limits of distributions. How liquid it is. So the funds or the principal that you have put in is liquid pretty much immediately, right? But the growth on that Roth IRA will have certain rules. So you either have to wait 5 years or wait until you're 59 and a half to have access to that free retirement. Now, if you start your Roth at age 58, the 5-year rule will apply and you can start the distributions at 63. Not before. So what about the liquidity within an IUL? Well, an IUL, it's less liquid at the beginning. So you gotta wait a little bit due to surrender charges. Remember that we're also paying for life insurance within an IUL. So you will have to wait a little bit longer. It's less liquid at the beginning. But once those surrender charges abate, you have full access to the entire liquidity of the cash value of your account. So if I have to compare them, in the early years, yes, the Roth will be a little bit more liquid if it is within 5 to 10 years. So comparing them, none of them are perfect when it comes to liquidity, but I will give the edge to the IUL. Okay, what about the comparison number 4, that is going to be protection? When I'm talking about protection, I'm going to refer to 3 particular things. That is going to be tax rate risk. We're going to talk about premature death risk and long-term care risk. Both, or the Roth, let's start with the Roth, by definition is a tax-free vehicle, so we're not even looking at the first concern about protection, the same as the IUL. But what about the other 2 topics? Tax rate risk, they're both equal, they're both tax-free. But how about if a premature death were to happen? Well, the Roth is not self-completing. There's nothing. If you only contribute for a year, those funds will be available and nothing else. However, with the IUL, let's remember that it's an insurer product first. So with the IUL, remember that it's a life insurance first. There will be a death benefit in place since day one, protecting your family on your premature death, leaving them with a large amount of funds. It will allow your family to take care not only of death expenses, but anything else that they need to take care of, like college funding or mortgage payments. So how about long-term care risk? So we know that with the Roth, there's nothing out there to protect you later in life other than the principal and the interest that you have gained. But with the IUL, that if you didn't die but almost died, or you were to be diagnosed with a heart attack or cancer or critical, chronic, or terminal conditions, you have the IUL that will step up to the game so you can take care of those medical expenses and any other expenses that you need to without having to touch a penny out of your pocket to care for them. Clearly and without a doubt, the IUL has come ahead one more time. Okay, let's look at expenses now and let's compare them between a Roth and an IUL. So Roth IRA are typically invested in mutual funds. So to understand the expenses that come with a Roth IRA, we need to understand how the expenses are within mutual funds. But just to give you a rough idea, thebalance.com says that the expenses vary according to the industry you're invested in, but they're average about 1%, 1.5%. So within an IUL, the expenses work a little bit different. They are a little bit heavier in the beginning years of the policy, but they go down and swindle down significantly over the course of those years. So at the end of the day, the longer you keep your IUL, the less expensive it becomes when it comes to fees and charges. So at the end of the day, they're fairly equal there, but the longer, if you're looking at expenses overall in many, many years, 40, 50 years, the IUL will end up being cheaper. So in comparison, if we're just looking at the early years, the Roth will earn the point in this one, but the idea is to have these funds for a long period of time. So in the long run, the IUL will be the one that will have less charges and fees being paid into the policy. So at the end of the day, you will ask me, what do I do? Well, we have to evaluate your risk, your situation, what you want to accomplish. They're both good vehicles. So if you need help creating a plan that eliminates taxes into retirement, that grows significantly, you need it for tax mitigation, just go ahead, visit us at ffl-veritas.com, and we will help you figure out what's the best route for you.